Hello, and thank you for watching on the replay, and thank you for joining me for Knowledge at 9 in the UK networking community here on Facebook. Hi everyone, I'm Duncan Price from Mind Affinity. I get to spend my life empowering people to get more from theirs, which is awesome and I love it. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about imposter syndrome. It's not quite 9 o'clock, so I don't want to start just yet. Okay, it's now 9 o'clock. Perfect. So, imposter syndrome. Do you ever feel like you're just not good enough? Like maybe you don't really belong? Like somehow you're getting by unnoticed under the radar when you don't really belong and you're not really as good as you're making out to be? If that describes you or someone you know, then you probably have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a bit of a misnomer, to be honest. Calling it a syndrome tends to imply and give the impression that it's something far worse, something far bigger than it really is. A syndrome makes it sound scary, right? It makes it sound like something that people would really struggle with. But the good news is, it's not. It's really, really common. Most people at some point in their life experience imposter syndrome or something similar to it. Depending on what study you listen to, there's a range of different studies that will tell you different amounts of people suffer from or recognize imposter syndrome at various points in their life. Many of those experiments and studies will tell you that females tend to feel it more, but it is relevant across all different walks of life. Different genders, different industries, from call centres to university students that get through to very exclusive courses. Most people at some point in their life experience some version of imposter syndrome. It's simply just thinking that you're not good enough and that you don't fit in, that maybe you're a fraud and that eventually someone's going to find you out. But the good news is you're not alone. So many people feel that way and so many people experience that, especially when running your own business, because it's scary running your own business, right? There's so much pressure on you at various points and it's very easy to focus on the negative feedback, to remember and draw upon all of those times when people said that you weren't good enough or when you said it to yourself, and very easy to forget all of the times when you get the positive feedback. Because as humans, that's what we do. We love to focus on the problems because we want to survive, and in order to survive we need to be aware of the issues and the problems and be reactive to them. The issue there is that it doesn't give us much time to look at the positives that are going on and really absorb the positive benefits and the positive feedback that we get. So that's what imposter syndrome is. How do you get over it? Because we all know that it's a common thing. Anyone that's watching that's identified with anything that I've just said completely understands that they've experienced it. So, step one, talk about it. Talk about it. Watch this video. Already, by watching this video, you're going to be better equipped to handle it because you're recognizing it as being something that people experience, something that's completely normal and natural, not some big scary thing that you'll never be able to overcome. And the more people that you speak to about those feelings, like maybe you don't belong, maybe you're not good enough, the more people are likely to turn around to you and say, do you know, I've felt exactly the same way. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who is an expert on the mind, someone who spends their time helping people to understand their own thoughts better and to use what's working against them in their favour, I myself have felt imposter syndrome. There have been plenty of occasions where I've questioned whether I'm really as good as I put out that I am, whether I really do get the results that I get. I know that I do. I've got stacks and stacks of reviews that tell me that. I've got great feedback from people that I work with. I see the results day in and day out. I know it works. I still question it from time to time. I still walk into a networking meeting to promote myself and think, oh, these people are all more important business people than I. It's very rare that it happens these days, and when it does, I kind of just chuckle at myself and move that thought to the side and focus instead on the real reason I'm there and on building the relationships with those people in the room. So you're not alone, and the more people that you speak to about it, the more people are likely to feedback that they have experienced the same thing, or maybe are experiencing the same thing at that very moment. And the more that you do that, the more people are likely to build you up and give you that positive feedback that you need. I'm not saying that you should go out there and say, oh, woe is me, I'm terrible, I'm not good enough, just so that people say nice things about you. But be honest, be sincere and be realistic, and you'll be surprised potentially at just how many people around you are keen to support you and point out the good that you've done to help them and how well you know your stuff. So talk about it. The other thing you can do is listen to feedback. As business owners, you should be keeping reviews. I'm sure you do, right? When someone says how well you've done and they appreciate that, you either keep that or you ask them to leave you a review on Facebook or Google. If you don't do that, you probably should. If you're feeling uncertain and unsure in yourself, look back at all of those positive reviews that you've got. Remind yourself of the successes that you've experienced. It'll make it much easier to have future successes when you're looking back and feeling successful about the things you've already achieved. Question your mistakes. Don't focus on them. Don't make them the one key thing that's going through your mind, but look back over the mistakes that you've made in the past, the big things that have gone wrong for you in your business. And the chances are you're assuming that it's down to you and you're blaming yourself. But if you actually look back and analyse it, you'll realise that other things had a bigger impact. Maybe you didn't have the knowledge that you have now. But the thing is, by making those mistakes, by going through that, you have learned and you've had the opportunity to learn to react and respond differently in those situations so that you don't make those mistakes again. So if there is something that's held you back or something that's gone wrong in the past, the fact that you recognise that means that you're working towards being better. So that brings me on to my next point, really, is being better. If you feel like an imposter, if you feel like you're not good enough, there's a couple of reasons why that could be. One of those reasons, and one of the most likely reasons, is that you're pushing the boundaries, you're growing. You're outside of your comfort zone and you're doing more. You're pushing yourself further, you're advancing. If you feel like you're not quite good enough and maybe you're not really belonging, then that probably means that you're breaking some boundary for yourself, which means you're growing your comfort zone. Embrace it. If you feel like you're not good enough, great, keep going, because you're doing something right, probably. So embrace those feelings when you do feel it. And realise that everyone around you, you don't see their weaknesses, you don't see the things that they're struggling with as easily and as readily. It's like social media, we all see this wonderful marketing and success that people are putting out there, which is really important to show your success as a business. We don't necessarily see the reality going on behind it. Other people, your peers and other people in the same industry, probably have those very same doubts as you. So if you're feeling this way, it's probably a good thing and you should absolutely embrace it. Thanks. The other thing is, if you're putting yourself out there and you're doing these new things and you're feeling like maybe you don't belong and it's not quite right for you, that's probably a big part of what often goes on and what often happens. And I know I've experienced this, is you start to get good at what you do, right? The basics of what you do, you're so good at it, you're so practiced and experienced in it, that it's just easy, right? And when you make something just easy, you kind of forget that it's not necessarily easy for everyone else just because it's easy for you. And if that thing is easy for you, and you think, well, I don't really try hard, it doesn't really take me any effort, I don't put much attention into that, I just kind of do. Just kind of do it and it works. It's easy to consider yourself to be a fraud in that situation. The reality is you're not a fraud. You're actually that good at it that you need to, that you see it as being easy and simple when actually it's much more than that. So that's almost 9 minutes up. Listen to positive feedback. Talk about it, Understand that everyone else feels that way and embrace it, because if you're feeling like you're pushing boundaries, if you feel like maybe you don't belong, either it's because things have become so easy for you, or it's because you're pushing your boundaries and you're doing something bigger. Whatever it is, if there's something holding you back right now, if you question your own abilities, get out there, do it, make it happen, make it work, so that you can look back and see how well you've done and how far you've come. That's Knowledge at 9. I'm Duncan Price from Affinity. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.